We'll get started here. Normal protocol. We'll talk a little, talk about last week's game as we always do, and then we'll move forward to our upcoming game. So, obviously a little different twist to the start of the game Saturday with the weather, and it kind of caught us off guard a little bit because we weren't expecting but 10% rain, right? So I got to talk to Doppler Dave about that. He kind of says I could have been able to put that into my planning there, but we got out, had a short, the short warm up and got ready. And, I thought we played pretty well early in the ball game. I liked how we were playing. The first drive, they won the toss into first. So we got the ball first. And, I thought we moved the ball, well on that first drive, and then, came up empty without the field goal, missing the field goal, and then got the next drive and went all the way down there and, had a chance to get the ball in the end zone and get a 7-0 lead there, and just didn't execute the last two plays that we ran. We just didn't execute very well as a unit on those two plays, and it kept us from getting in the end zone. But the reason I'm hitting that is because I thought it was a big part of the game, because obviously we had a chance to take the next drive, move down the field, execute a really nice 4th and 1, beautiful pass, beautiful route by Tyron, get a 7-0 lead in the game. And at that point, I felt really comfortable about where the game stood and how we were playing at that point. But the gist of it was very easily could have been 17-0. And if it's 17-0 there, we probably have a lot different outcome to the game, because what happened is, we allowed them to stay within the rhythm of what they were doing. And, they like to just run the ball and throw RPOs off the run game and some nakeds, and that's all they did. And it's hard to score, come from big leads, from behind in big leads when you have that style of an offense. But by not scoring, we kept them in the game, and then they got the ball. We went down, scored a field goal. We're up 10-7 after they matched our touchdown, and then they scored there late in the half, and we got the opportunity to get that turnover there at the end. And again, we're in the red zone. We're a little bit limited on time. We only have one timeout left, which was, a factor there as well. And weren't able to punch the ball in the end zone. I think if we punch the ball in the end zone there, we're going to get a lead going into halftime, and I think it completely changes the game again. So that our red zone lack of ability to score touchdowns in the red zone was a really critical part of this ball game. And so we should be good at that. That's something that we should be really good at. We spent a lot of time doing that. And we got good schemes at it. We got the type of people that can execute those schemes. So we have to do better, because that would have changed the whole game. It comes down to that. They're going to do some things. Offenses are going to score some points, and we can't move the ball, get in the red zone, and come up empty. We could have had easily 24 to 20, 28 points there at the end of the first half. And again, it's a different game. A big play of the third quarter was when we stopped them and got the 15-yard targeting penalty there after the good defense on 3rd and long. Where they would have punted, we would have got the ball back with a 1-point difference in the game, and they go down and score and make it an 8-point game. And then we come back and continue to drive the ball, and had the kind of the mishandled snap and then the fumble that happened because of that. And they went down and took that and put it in, and now the whole game changes, because now we're facing drop 8, and we're more of a urgency type of situation because of the way they control the clock offensively, and they were going to eat up time when they were having the ball. So we had to try to throw the ball quite a bit more. We couldn't really establish the type of consistency or mixing the run in as much as we would have liked to mix the run in or mix the play action pass in, because obviously the play action pass wasn't going to be as paid much attention to, because they knew we had to try to score quickly. And so that was kind of the gist of the rest of the game. So now we're trying to play catch up. We're moving the ball, but we're not scoring. So they got a good football team. I knew that. I knew they were going to be one of the best teams that we played in conference all year. I feel like they played a really good football game. I really do. I felt like they did a great job, and I feel like we left a lot of things out there on the table, which leads to us being upset, angry about that, and being something that we have to respond to. It's game one. None of us like to play a conference game in game one, because you like to have a warm-up But I see a lot of potential in this football team. I see a lot of talent. I see some of the new guys that played. I didn't think, I think someone asked me after the game, how'd you feel like the new guys played? And I didn't have a chance to really answer it because I couldn't give a, complete answer. I don't want to give a knee-jerk answer until I watch the film and see. And I thought that our new guys that played solid. They didn't play great. None of them played great. None of the new starters played great, but they played solid. And there's a ton of potential and growth for them. So I'm really excited about how they're going to grow into their roles and what they're doing. So I'm pleased. We had a really good practice today. We got, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, we got a good football team. We can handle adversity. I promise you. We're not afraid of that. We've been through that a lot, and so we'll respond to this and we'll get better. And the story of this season will be how we improve and how we get better after an opening season conference loss. And you don't get a chance to rebound with an easy game now, segueing into the next game. It's not like we got a bounce back game, right? You got a game against the preseason top 10 football team in a fun place to play, though. That's what it is for us. It's an opportunity to go out and enjoy why you play these games, why you want to play these type of opponents and go out and execute well and play our brand of football. And we have quality enough caliber football players to play good in this atmosphere. And so now we have to have a great week of preparation. They're a difficult preparation because of the things that they do, both sides of the football. They got great schemes, and we're going to have to, rise to the challenge. It'll be a great venue. Playing at 2:30 in the afternoon in Oklahoma is a fun place for these guys to go into. We'll have to do a good job handling the crowd noise, but we've worked on that all camp. And all spring ball, we put in some things to handle crowd noise, and so I think we'll be prepared for that. It's not like we just started preparing for this game. This week we put in plenty of cadence things to help with our operation all throughout, even though we didn't need them for the practices, but we're ready for that part of it the best you can be and try to handle that side of it. And so they got a lot of talented players. They're obviously their quarterback, I've followed his career from when he was at Central Florida. I think he's one of the best players in college football. That's their number one weapon. He's been with their coordinator before at Central Florida, and so they have a history together. And they're just got talented wide receivers, got a big physical offensive line, got a running back that's had really good production on defense. They have some front guys that have quite a bit of experience. Their secondary linebacker is their most experienced unit there. A lot of guys have played quite a bit in the secondary coming back. And so again, it'll be a difficult test for us, but it'll be a fun test and one that, as you know, you never know when your team's going to rise up to the challenge after not playing as well as we know we can play week one. Maybe we put our best game out there on the field in week two. So I'll open it up to questions from there.
Speaking of that, Coach, this is 3 years in a row of really unusual circumstances.
Period, as a group, as a unit. And so obviously we feel like Brent will have a lot of influence on the defense, and so that's obviously what we're expecting to prepare for is Clemson's defenses. So we're studying Clemson's tape for that side of the ball. Their offensive coordinator was at Ole Miss, so we're studying Ole Miss's offense for that side of the ball, and their special teams coordinator was at Eastern Michigan. So there's a lot of film that has to be gathered, and then again, we've watched a bunch of game tape of Oklahoma last year to evaluate their type of how each player and what their skill set is of each player that's coming back from last year. So this is a really unusual preparation for us in the farm. New coordinators, not all coming from the same school, coming from different schools, and then we still have to do an evaluation on their players as well.
How does their personnel on defense maybe fit what Venables has traditionally done with his defenses at Clemson?
Well, I think there's similarities just because, obviously Brent was at Oklahoma at one time. So, they've tried, and the guys that took over, when Brent left, the guys that were there, the system just kind of, transformed from Bob's system to Lincoln's system, but it still had a lot of common characteristics. So I think they've recruited this, I'm leading that back to, I think they've recruited the same type of athlete that fits into the type of systems that Brent wants to have. And so he's got plenty of athleticism, just like he had at Clemson, plenty of length and size to work with. And so he can do anything he needs to do, with these guys. And so, it'll be, I don't think it'll be much of a transition time for him. I think he'll be just fine with the talent that he has.
Coach,
Yes.
it's like a national pastime to play Monday morning quarterback, or in this case, Sunday morning.
Uh-huh.
And a lot of the criticism and the commentary that I heard on the radio from friends, including myself, why did we run the ball? We got a couple of very good running backs, like more on first and second.
Why didn't we? I just didn't think we were having the efficiency with the run game, and I think they were pressuring a lot on first down. Some of the things that play into it. They were pressuring our front on first down, and so they were bringing eight guys to the run, right, and trying to keep us out of the run game. And so those were the reasons that if we were running, we'd be running into a look that you don't have much.
Force you to pass.
Yeah, exactly. Forcing us to pass the ball. That's what everybody's going to do to us because they know. I mean, people like Phil. Phil and I have gone against each other. The first time Phil and I went against each other was 1994, their D coordinator. So he understands that if he's going to give us a box to run to, we're going to run it, and he knows that, you can't do that. You better load that box up with lots of pressures and force us to throw the ball on early downs, and so we're good enough to do that. It's not like we're not good enough to do it. And then we threw it a lot on first down in the second half because of the fact we fell behind and fell out. I felt like we could still throw it well and felt like throwing the ball was our way to catch up as quick as we could because of the nature of the offense they have. If we go grind out a drive, then now they're just going to grind out another drive and the game's going to be over. So those were my thoughts on those things.
How do you fix the running game?
Just get better, more physical with what we're doing, get more physical with it, I think, more than anything. I thought we ran the ball well, and I think we have an offensive line that's equipped to run the football. I really do. So I think we just stay to what we do and we just continue to work with better pad level, work with more physicality. Like was mentioned, we got good running backs, we got good fullbacks, we got good blocking tight ends, and we got a good O-line. So the ingredients are all there. So I think we just work on getting it cleaned up and get better at our execution of it. I'm not alarmed that we're not going to be able to run the football this year. I think it was a game that we really just should have done a better job of taking advantage of what they were giving us and throw the ball better in the game than what we did. That's what we need to do. So I think there'll be games where if people allow us to run the football, then we'll run it well. And if they take it away, then we'll hurt them worse than we did in the passing game.
In terms of, mindset entering this game, coming off a loss at home, you go into this feeling like you have nothing to lose on the road against tough team.
Well, I mean, anytime you play a top 10 team like this and you're a group of 5 team, I think that's part of the mentality that you take. I mean, no one's expecting you to win the game, but if you could win the game, it'd be really a big step for your program. And so you do go into it with a mentality of that, hey, if we can pull off a victory, it would be really a big thing for our program. And so that's how we look at it more than anything. It's just a great opportunity for us to go showcase. And then it's also an opportunity to play against really high-level talent and continue to improve as a football team and continue to improve on how we execute and how we do things. So that, to me, that's the biggest thing.
On defense, how do you guys get off on third downs and not allow those for third down conversions?
Yeah, I think, we were better last year. That really was a big thing in the game is defensively is that we on those early touchdown drives that we had. One of them, I think there was 4 third and long, third plus, more than 4, but third and long conversions. And we got to just mix up what we're doing there a little bit more, just show a little bit more variety to what we're doing and give them a little bit different type of looks, going back and assessing what we did. And also the better we get with some of our young players in the secondary, the more we'll be able to do what we try to do and stop it better. I think it was a little bit of that showing up in the game as well.
If you look at the stats of the game and you didn't know what the score was at the end, it wasn't much of a difference stat-wise, back and forth with the two teams, and just certain key plays that put the game away. But how did you see this? I saw
it the way I explained it, the frustration that comes from us not scoring on those opportunities that we had early, because I feel like if we scored early on those, the game would have gone our way for sure. If someone would have told, you always have that, someone would have told me that we punted one time and only turned the ball over one time, right? If you punt once and turn the ball over one time, those two stats, I'm saying, you probably have a pretty good chance to win. And so then it just flips right back to, but if you don't finish drives and you miss field goals and you don't get any points when you're inside the 10-yard line, those are like turnovers, right? So that's why I go back to those things right there. Those were the key things in the ball game. Defensively, I talked about some of the things we can be better on third down. I don't think we're good enough on third down for sure. But defensively, as an overall assessment, they rushed at 4.0 yards per carry, right? And so they were the fifth rushing team in the country last year. So we got to remember we're not playing a bunch of schlubs there. And we played the run pretty good, only giving up 4 yards per carry. So they hit a couple, right? A couple 16, 3 or 4 plus 15 runs, but they only rushed for 163 yards and 4.0 per carry. So I thought defensively we did a lot of things well. There's some things we have to improve on defensively. It was just a first game that we didn't play well enough to win, and now our job is to clean that up.
Coach, going back to the red zone struggles, getting that fixed, is it more so about repetition and what it is you guys are trying to do, getting better at that, or is it adding, I don't know, different wrinkles down?
It's both. It's both. It's adding different wrinkles to what we're doing. Maybe using some of the stuff that we had in our package in lieu of that. But really, it was what we called just executing what we called better. The situation at the end of the first half was more it stemmed from not having enough timeouts, right? It stemmed from not having enough timeouts, and now we had one left, and then the very first play we get a scramble and get tackled, and now we got now all of a sudden the advantage that you had to get the ball at the 9-yard line. You use that timeout. Now running the ball is really not an option. It's a really risky call on second down, right? It just becomes a huge risky call because of time management. And now you're going to have to hurry up. We have a system where we call 2 plays in the huddle, but you run the ball, you get up there, you run your second play, and you do it as quickly as you can, but the time starts to become a crunch on that, and some things get out of control as far as how long it takes you to accomplish those things. So with that being said, what they were doing is dropping 8 and 9 defenders there, and it made that situation difficult. So as I go back and look at that situation, there's probably a couple calls that we could have done that might have been a little bit better, but we had some open receivers, but we were, Gavin was very conservative because you saw the one where he went to pump it in there and he actually pulled it back past parallel. He got the ball to here and pulled it back just because he didn't want to get a turnover in that type of situation. So, but the first drive that we got in the red zone, first and goal at the 10 and didn't score anything. And, we just didn't execute on that 4th and 1. The play was wide open. There was 3 receivers wide open because everybody in the building thought we were running the ball. We had all of our guys running open. We just had a mishandled snap there. So that part of it was unfortunate. So as I go back and evaluate that series, I'm pretty comfortable with what we did there. We just have to execute it better. So that's kind of all the evaluation thoughts that are going on of how we need to improve in the red zone.
Coach, being around long enough, I know Coach is very particular about time and what time to leave the hotel, get on the field and such. With the rain delay, I noticed that you guys didn't get to go into the locker room afterwards. National anthem kind of snuck up on you guys. You didn't know. Did that play a factor of waiting around?
I thought it was a distraction to us, but it was also a distraction to them. It was unfortunate because we couldn't enjoy. What was unfortunate about it is that we couldn't enjoy what happened in the ball game. We couldn't enjoy the fans being there. We couldn't enjoy the normal timing of all that and take in the nuances of the crowd and what that brings to the table and get our normal routine. But it also affected them too. They had to sit in their locker room. So whether it was, to me, it had no effect on the outcome of the game for sure, just because of the fact that they had to do the same thing. And I thought we played pretty well early too, in the game. So, but it was unfortunate, that had to happen.
What would you tell all the fans that showed up as far as looking forward to the rest of the season?
I just think there's not, we'll prove what we're about. That's who we are, and we'll play good football. And I just control those things. We'll play really good football, and we'll have this team, because this is a good football team, and they'll prove themselves as the season goes along. And anything can happen. That game got real, kind of just took a bad shape on us and didn't go our way, but that's going to happen throughout a season. And so we'll be playing really good football down the stretch here. That's my job. Make sure we get good football out there on the field.
When you're grading Hardison, would the biggest criticism be held on to the ball a little too long at times?
He was ultra conservative, and that's okay because he doesn't want to make those mistakes, and he'll get better. You know what I mean? He just didn't want to turn the ball over. He really didn't want to do that because he knew it was a game that he felt like if he didn't turn the ball over, we'd have a decent chance to win. So I think he went in going, don't make those type of mistakes. Let's knock down our turnovers this year, and. I don't think he played tentative at all. I just think he was making sure he was conservative with his decisions.
Does he need to quicken that up? Is that something you're looking at?
I think he will. Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that. I don't want to put pressure on Gavin to do anything he doesn't feel comfortable doing because I thought he played a good game. Besides the turnovers that he had, we got to get our snap mechanics down. Those were two of the major plays in the games were from snap mechanics, right? I mean, those two plays don't happen. Just simple snapping the ball back and catching it, snapping it accurately, catching it when it is accurate, led to a bunch of points off the board for us. And so, to me, those are pretty basic things. So those are the things that I thought that we need to, Gavin might need to improve on. But his overall play, he did some really cool things. He threw some really nice balls and we had some really pretty plays executed out there as well. So that's my critique of him for the game.
I guess as far as after the game, a couple guys didn't play. Torrey and Gary Fear, give an injury update.
No, I'm not anything on those guys. Yeah. Nothing new.
Okay.
Yeah.
As far as other guys that didn't play either.
Well, right now, no. I mean, the depth chart's going to be the same as it was last week. Yeah. So.
This is OU's not just the beginning of a new era. It's also the first time I can remember that they've gone a defensive direction with head coach. When they've had a coaching change. Do you expect to see a different mentality with them? Just first game.
Yeah. I mean, I think they'll have the same type of mentality that they had when Bob was there, right? When they had Bob as a defensive coach, and I think they'll have an aggressive mentality. I mean, Brent's just a really aggressive person. Now, when I say aggressive, I'm not talking about schemes. I'm just talking about the way they play and how aggressive they'll be and they'll play with a lot of energy. I mean, it's going to be a really tough environment, guys. You're going to a game where you got a first-time head coach, right? And their first game of the season, and so I think their team will play with a lot of juice and a lot of energy, and I think Brent will do a great job, and I think he'll bring a lot of passion to that program.
How'd you feel about the way your corners played?
First game, I felt like first game. I feel like they're both going to be really good players, but I feel like they played first game type of football. But I saw them make a lot of good plays too. I saw things I expect to see out of Josiah. He's really fast, quick, and athletic, and he's a really good tackler. I saw him show some of that, and Trez did a really good job of locking their guys down at times and using his length and speed. So that's why I say we got these guys. Our new guys, they're good. Kobe Hilton. Kobe Hilton was our defensive player of the game, right? That was our defensive player of the game with 3 tackles for losses and 9 tackles. So I feel really good about all those guys. I think they're all talented players that are just going to get better and better as the season goes along.
Coach, with everything going on at Oklahoma, like you talked about, new coach, new quarterback, is there any sort of added motivation to kind of go in there and play spoiler in this game to I guess, kind of bring that sort of spotlight directly?
There's so much motivation for us to play well just because I think it'll get confidence into our football team. That's the motivation. And then obviously if we can play them well, it'll just put a lot of respect on our program in a more national type of setting, and because we're going to be on a lot of TVs on Saturday afternoon. So to be able to play well and battle and make it a hard-fought football game would be a really neat thing for the program.
Anything else? Thank you.
Okay, thanks everybody. Appreciate it. Yep, sure.
Guys,